The video game industry is in charge of nearly 2 million jobs and contributes nearly $261 billion to the U.S. economy every year, and it just got a recent shakeup. You see, Activision bought Blizzard back in 2008 for a cool $19 billion, and in recent years, the new company has seen many new controversies, employee unionizations, CEO scandals, abuse scandals, lawsuits, all of it. This has been a really big topic in the industry leading up to Microsoft's purchase of the company, which is now the largest video game acquisition in history, costing nearly $69 billion. This has led to many questions that remain about the problems within Activision Blizzard and how they'll be solved under this new ownership. These problems are mostly with CEO Bobby Kotick and his new slew of dog employees. And while we'll be talking about Bobby in a second, it's important to note the economic impact this will have. Does Microsoft own too much? We'll be getting into that. Bobby has been everyone's favorite imaginary doormat after all the articles have come out about exactly what he's been doing at Activision Blizzard as their CEO. Like how he knew and tried to cover up multiple sexual misconduct allegations for years. Specifically, this one example where a senior Call of Duty developer had many sexual assault allegations against him. And when HR ruled against this employee, Bobby Kotick stepped in, vouching for him, basically overturning their ruling. We could also talk about how he made $150 million in 2022, even after many employees attempted to unionize as a result of not getting paid enough. Or we could talk about his own sexual harassment scandals, like he had with a flight attendant back in 2007. Kotick is not new to scandals and doesn't seem to be slowing down. As his ex-girlfriend from 2016 and 2019, they were dating. Her name is Sheryl Sandberg. She's the Chief Operating Officer, COO at Meta Platforms, which now owns Facebook. And she coaxed Daily Mail journalists back in 2016 until 2019 when they stopped dating to stop writing stories about Bobby Kotick. The two, Bobby and Sheryl, were cited to have used both Facebook and Activision Blizzard resources to create a team in charge of quieting down these articles that reflected Kotick in a bad light. And it led many viewers to believe that with the recent acquisition that Microsoft should remove Kotick from his position as CEO and begin rebranding the company in order to regain its lost image. However, there's no telling just how damaging this has been to Activision Blizzard and if they'll even be able to recover from it. It is evident, however, that Kotick should have stepped down from this position long ago, and we can only hope that Phil Spencer, the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, and his team can elect a much better candidate to fit Bobby's shoes. Moving on from Kotick, I want to talk about the effects that this deal is going to have on the economy surrounding it. Microsoft will now own more than 225 companies, among these being Mojang, the creator and owner of Minecraft, Skype, one of the largest video calling companies in the world, LinkedIn, one of the largest social media sites in the world, and ZeniMax Studios, one of the largest game publishers in the world. We may have another monopoly lawsuit on our hands in the years to come. There have only been 6 major monopolies, with the latest court-ruled breakup occurring in 1982 with AT&T. Now, Microsoft has already been sued once, back in 2001, and even lost its case against the United States, but they didn't have to break up their company back then. It'll be interesting to see if anything continues to develop here, and if we see something like that again, with Microsoft maybe resulting in a breakup. Microsoft will now be the 3rd largest gaming company, and is only getting bigger. They've also begun gaining relevance through their new web browser, Edge, by now offering a free VPN compared to the more paid-to-use VPNs that are on the market, which is a very smart move, but it is very monopolistic of them to try and gain control over a lot more of the computer market than they had before. Overall, it'll still be really interesting to see what happens in the next few years and if Microsoft will have another face-off against the U.S. government and if they'll win it. Aside from the more serious side of this deal, let's talk about the video games. I myself am a gamer, and we have been giving a very positive reaction to this deal from the gaming lens, hoping that Microsoft can help in Activision's Blizzard's recent downfall in production quality. This feedback is mostly seen in Microsoft's acquisition of the Call of Duty franchise, because as a result of this deal, they now own publishing rights to the franchise. It's always been speculated that Activision's greed has led to many key parts of Call of Duty games to be diluted due to the other transactions and pay-to-win platform that they've adopted. Activision made it about paying for items rather than earning them in-game, which took the fun out of it a lot of the times and kind of bogged down the general gameplay. This acquisition is a chance for Activision's direction to change and make more games about being games rather than what they can make from them. This is why the acquisition is so important to this billion-dollar industry. Big-name titles like Call of Duty often set the quota for what games can and should be, so changing to be the more game-centered like they once were will set a really good precedent for all big-name games in the future. Although a lot of indie game companies can adopt very game-centered mindsets, it's hard for them to break into the same market that these big-name companies can. So seeing these big-name companies act in a more consumer-friendly manner is always a good thing to see in the industry. I'm fine with Microsoft owning all this personally. The smaller companies have proven incapable of running fine on their own. Microsoft doesn't have the same sleazy CEO that can't be trusted by a single female employee, nor do they have countless lawsuits or underpaid employees. In conclusion, it's important to recognize how economically impactful this deal will be, but how culturally relevant it is too. Just as it seemed like Activision Blizzard was done for, angels at Microsoft, all named Phil Spencer, came swooping in order to save everyone from certain doom. Having Microsoft at the helm of the game industry is definitely a scary amount of power for one company to hold, because running a company without sexual harassment should honestly be the bare minimum. There shouldn't be a frat party in the break room every Tuesday morning at every workplace. But Microsoft's previous acquisitions of Mojang, 343 Industries, Playground Games, Double Fine, and many more have all gone well. And with these companies seeing major improvements in sales, budget, employee count, we can only imagine that they'll do the same with Blizzard. But for now, we can only pray for that to be the outcome, and that Phil Spencer kicks Bobby Kotick down into the hellhole he spawned out of, and clean up the marks left behind on the company as they return it to its glory.